Okay, we'll begin inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear viewers and listeners at home, we hope you are all well, and thank you for tuning in to our Saturday halaqa inshallah. So this will be the first of many inshallah, the first Saturday halaqa. We have with us Dr Salman Butt. He's going to be delivering the first topic, which is how to survive online. Just to give you some information about a brief history about Dr. Salman. He studied biochemistry at Imperial College in London, and he concluded his PhD studies in chemical biology, carrying out research into photosynthesis, mashallah. During his years at university, he became involved in Islamic society and the da'wah scene and activism, mashallah, and in general Muslim community projects, alhamdulillah. He is currently the chief editor and regular contributor at Islam 21C, and he's also has a blog on Huffington Post, mashallah. So without any further delay, Dr. Salman, are you there with me?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes.
Jazakallah khair. So without any further delay, I'll hand the mic over to you, inshallah, and you can begin. Jazakallah khair.
خيرا. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi everyone. Dawood, quickly, can you just let me know how long I should speak for? Just remind me. I don't want to go over.
40 minutes, inshallah.
40 minutes, okay. So we'll try and stop at 10 past 8, inshallah. I've just been, if you notice, I'm a bit looking all around. That's because I'm trying to share this screen here. Hopefully you will see something now, inshallah. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Okay. Right. How to survive online. I've done this presentation a few times with different communities, and I've learned a lot in interacting with people as a result of this, and a few questions, a few anecdotes kind of pop up here and there. And what I like to do, and I learned from it a lot, what I like to do is get people to just I don't know how successful it's going to be here electronically, but get people to check on their phones. Now, if you have an iPhone, I know how to do it on the iPhone, but if you don't, if you have an Android or something, I'm not sure how you do this, but you can check your screen time, right? If you go to settings, and this is one of the rare things where in a halaqa you're told to actually pick up your phone and use it. If you go to your settings in the iPhone, there's a thing here called screen time. Whoop, it's gone invisible. Thing here called screen time. Don't know if you can see it. Just in the settings. If you do screen time, it tells you your daily average, how many hours you spend on the phone, and it gives you, on the week as well, how long in the week. And mine, it gives me an update every Sunday. I think maybe an automatic thing that you spend this many hours on your phone this week, and it gives you a breakdown. So just put your phone down for now and pick it up later when we finish, just to for everyone to reflect, right, on how long we're actually spending on these devices, right? And I want you to you to ask yourself a question, okay? Have you ever, or think back to a time where you picked your phone up and then you've thought, why did I pick this up again? Has this ever happened to you? Or you pick your phone up, because you've got a message from someone, some kind of notification, as we all get, and you check the message. Maybe it's a message from your friend, a work thing, whatever it may be. You check that message, and then one thing leads to another. You look at another message, another thingy comes up, another message, another a call, maybe a Facebook notification, a Twitter notification, Instagram. One thing leads to another, and you realize, wait a second, I've been here for an hour. Has this ever happened to you? Or you look at yourself and you think, has it already been half an hour? This is by design, right? This presentation usually gets me in trouble with some people, with young people in particular. And I want to argue a few things, okay? So this is by design, okay? And I'm going to make a few arguments that some people might believe me and some people might not believe me, okay? So it's up to you whether you follow these the advice I'm going to share anyway. But it's important that we're all aware of the risks, right, when it comes to these devices. So let's start with a bit of history, a bit of background, okay? It's we normally hear about this kind of drastically simplified history of human beings, right? That we started off our economy, how we kind of make money, how we exchange resources in society. It started off as, a bit kind of agricultural, agrarian society. We then moved towards, industrial revolution, utilizing fossil fuels and automation for certain as a means of production. And then something weird happened a few decades ago, where this computer, it used to look like that, they popped up, and it changed how we make money. It changed how we go to work. It changed how we communicate with each other, how our societies are physically and architecturally kind of made up, and how our families are even made up, right? Some people thought, let's call this the information economy, right? Because the economy before was, potatoes and onions and stuff. Then after that, it was machinery, it was manufacturing. And then after that, after that came the information economy, data and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of truth in that. But some people, and for the purpose of this presentation, this discussion, we don't want to look at that side of the economy today. Some people argue vehemently that it's actually an attention economy that we're living in. That the economy we're living in, economics, they say, is about scarce resources, how societies deal with scarce resources. And if anyone looks at, has Googled anything in their life, they'll know that if there's one thing that there's no scarcity of on the internet in the digital age, it's information. There's too much information. Information is everywhere. So they said, some people argue that the thing that is actually our scarce commodity that we're buying and selling and competing for in this day and age is not information necessarily, but it's actually our attention. It's our attention that is the commodity that is being bought and sold and competed for. So what? Some people might say, look, why are you being so dramatic about this? Before we had the radio, when the radio was invented, then people probably went in the masjid and started complaining, the Maulvis and stuff started complaining that this radio is evil. People aren't going outside, they're just sitting at home listening to the radio. Then the TV came along and people were complaining, what's this TV? It's changing our society drastically. It's no one's listening to the radio anymore. And some people might say about the telephone as well in the 70s or 80s when we start, 60s and 70s when we started getting phones in our homes. people are saying, look, it's drastically changing how we act. So aren't the smartphones? Isn't my laptop, my tablet, isn't this device here? Isn't this just the new TV of today, the new radio, the new toy of today? And the answer is no, right? Because there's one thing that this device has that none of those previous inventions, none of those previous toys that technology had. And that is these people. See, behind this device, behind every smartphone, behind every successful app, behind even every successful game, behind every successful piece of software is teams and teams, including social media, especially social media sites, are teams and teams and teams of people called attention engineers. It's their job to do one thing. And what is that one thing? Their job is to utilize hundreds of years worth of accumulated wisdom in psychology to increase one metric. They utilize what they know about the brain, the human being, how we're wired, how we act, certain chemicals in our brains. They utilize all of that. They utilize sophisticated electronic means and tools, mathematical tools, to do one thing, and that is increase time spent on site, right? Increase time spent on Facebook, on YouTube, on this site or that site, increase time spent on this game. Why? Because your attention and my attention is the actual commodity, especially if it's free, especially if something is free, you're the product, right? Your attention is being used, is being continually fractured and being used to make money against using advertising or other forms of revenue. So some people might say, so what? Advertising is something that's always happened. People have always been competing for our attention, whether it's buying a new pair of shoes or a new car, people, buying things, being tricked into or encouraged into, buying things or looking at something or an advert here and there. It's always happened. So what? The problem is they're really, really, really good at it, right? The attention engineers, they have highly sophisticated tools in order to increase that one metric, time spent on site, and it's having knock-on effects to all of us, right? Let me give you one example. Michael Kaczynski of Stanford University, okay? He did an experiment with publicly available information just from Facebook, okay? They said, when we know your Facebook likes, 15 of your Facebook likes, we're able to predict aspects of your personality better than your average coworker, right? These are just the pages that you've liked or pages that you've liked, which is public information, okay? If we know 15 of your likes, we can predict aspects of your personality better than your average coworker. With knowledge of 150 of your Facebook likes, publicly available, we can predict you better than your mother. And with 300 Facebook likes, we can predict aspects of your personality better than your spouse, okay? And this is just with the publicly available information. Facebook has far more information about us than that. What we like, things that we scroll over slowly, things that we quickly scroll over, what we type, what we press like, share, comment, smiley face, angry face, all of that kind of stuff. Not only that, but they also have the ability to store stuff that we type and then delete without even pressing enter. Yeah, this information is stored or is capable of being stored and retrieved and using it to understand aspects of our personality better than we know ourselves sometimes. And this is what Michael Kaczynski said. Our smartphone is a vast psychological questionnaire that we are constantly filling out, both consciously and unconsciously. Okay. Then this guy came along a few centuries ago. May Allah, forgive him. His name is Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khawarizmi. I think that's his name. He invented something called the algorithm, right? And an algorithm is basically a set of instructions, okay, that you give a computer to do something, carry out some instruction, some formula automatically, okay? Now, they have all this access to information about us, our deep insights into our personality, what makes us tick, what makes us click. They know us, know aspects of our personality better than our spouses, our mothers, our fathers, or our co-workers. They employ attention engineers to utilize every trick in the book in order to increase one metric, and they're able now to utilize algorithms for computers to do this work, these calculations, to do one thing: increase time spent on site. And every single social network has a proprietary algorithm of its own, or more than one, right? It knows how to take the data, harvest the information about you and me that we're constantly filling out, these psychological questionnaires that we're constantly, consciously and unconsciously filling out. And it knows how to, and it's using that in order to do one thing, and that is increase time spent on site, time spent on that thing. Now, what effect is this having? This is having a huge impact, okay, on our lives, the way we interact with the world, the information that we gain about our place in the world, and it's having an impact on our iman as well, especially the iman of our younger brothers and sisters. I'll explain a bit how. Okay, Zainab Tufekci, for example, she's a techno-sociologist. She studies social movements and the internet, right? She studied YouTube's algorithm, for example. Now, YouTube, anytime you watch a YouTube video, what happens at the end, right? Another video comes up. And we all know this, we've all been there. Nobody's ever sat there and watched only one YouTube video, right? What happens at the end? The video that it suggests to you, it's really interesting, isn't it? It's almost as though it knows what you'll actually click on. It knows what we like. Not just what we like, that's incorrect. It doesn't just know what we like, what we'd like to watch, it knows what we'll actually watch. And there's a difference between those two statements. You see, you like to watch something because of your own likes, your own personality, your own values, for example. You might like to watch something good for you most of the time. But the algorithms are not set up to show you what you like, to show you what is good for you. The algorithms are set up to show you what you will actually watch. And many times we'll watch something that isn't good for us. We'll watch something that we don't actually want to watch, but things that make us angry, things that make us, that reinforce a particular stereotype or a particular opinion that we already have, right? And so Zainab Tufekci, she did an experiment with YouTube's proprietary algorithm. She said, YouTube, I'll have a completely blank slate, right? And use a plain account, and I'll do this. I'll watch a Donald Trump campaign video. It's back when the election was happening. At the end of it, what happens? You get a mixture of videos because it doesn't know who you are yet, right? It's a completely blank account. So it's fishing, it's giving you things based on large numbers of people, what they tend to watch after watching something like this. So then what came up? Another Donald Trump video, and another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that. And she said, gradually it was getting more and more and more extreme, more and more and more right wing, right? Now, until it was full blown kind of white supremacy videos. Then she said, okay, let me do a completely new account. Let me watch, and this happens even if you're not logged in, by the way, right? Because of cookies, small packets of information that are stored on your computer and your browsers. No, so she said, okay, let me watch a Hillary Clinton campaign video, right? Again, USA in the election time. So at the end of it, another Hillary Clinton one, another one, then Bernie Sanders one, right? He's a bit more left wing, very much more left wing. Another one, until eventually it was showing me, she said, extreme left wing propaganda videos and conspiracy theories and all kinds of madness, right? She said something very powerful then. She said, it's almost as though you're never extreme enough for Facebook, for YouTube's algorithms, right? She even, for a laugh, she mentioned she was watching vegetarian videos about vegetarianism, another vegetarianism video, another one, and eventually went into veganism. No, not even milk or dairy or eggs or anything like that. Yeah, miskin. So these algorithms are playing a big role in how we now look at the world, what we think. Because what happens when you want to search for something? Many of us go to YouTube. YouTube's owned by who? Google. Max Stossel did another experiment with Google, right? He asked two individuals, two friends of his, a simple question. How many crimes do immigrants commit in Europe? Okay. The same input to two different people, Google gave radically different outputs, right? One friend, it came up with more respectable journals, let's say, and publications giving the statistical significance of the crimes committed by immigrants. Very, very, very small minority of a minority of minority. The other friend, because of his profile, because of the algorithms, YouTube's of Google, he was given Daily Mail, Fox News, all this type of the Sun, the right wing kind of gutter press that are overblowing the statistical significance of crimes committed by immigrants, for example. Now, two people are now building a vastly different world around them, or understanding of the world around them, simply because of the algorithms of Google, the proprietary algorithms of Google. So this is changing how we act, how we go about our lives online, and it's impacting Muslims as well. Because when you want to know a fatwa, for example, what do? You Google it, and Google is not, interested in giving an answer of what the correct opinion is that you're looking for. It's giving you something based on what will keep you attached to the screen, right? Increasing that one metric, time spent on site. So what world does that create for us? Companies compete for our attention. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. And they have access to information about our own intimate personality details. And they have sophisticated electronic, mathematical, algorithmic tools that learning for themselves now in order to do one thing, increase time spent on site. What world does that create? These gentlemen, this is what some people who know this new economy, this new landscape that we're living in, this is what they say, right? Mr. Jobs, Steve Jobs, he was asked, your children, how do they like the new iPad? And he said, they haven't used it. We limit the technology our kids use at home. Former chief editor of Wired magazine, famous tech magazine. My kids accuse my wife and I of being fascists and overly concerned about tech. And they say none of their friends have the same rules. That's because we've seen the dangers of the technology firsthand. I've seen it myself. I don't want that to happen to my kids. And similar can be said about many, many people in the industry making money from this industry, but they want to protect their own children more than yours and mine, right? Facebook's architects, Sean Parker said, founding president of Facebook, Facebook's architects exploited a vulnerability in human psychology, right? Tech companies understand what causes dopamine surges, we'll talk about that in a minute, inshallah, in the brain, and they lace their products with hijacking techniques and that lure us in and create compulsion loops. This is a picture of a cross-section of a brain, okay? Now, these, not just Facebook, pretty much every successful app and game now, the free games especially, they exploit something that is specific and unique to young people's brains in particular, right? When we're young, we have an overactive striatum, which is the section of our brains associated with rewards, associated with dopamine, that hormone that we hear about now and then, that neurotransmitter, right? We have an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, which is deals with calculating risks, for example, and inhibiting our urges and our things that we just want to blurt out, for example. This predisposes us to two things when we're younger, under 25 years old. This is why your car insurance goes, apparently supposed to go lower when you go over 25. It gives us an increased sensitivity to risk, to instant rewards, and it makes us more prone to risky and impulsive behavior. That's when we're young. And these things are actually products, successful electronic products, digital products on your smartphone, on your, even some of your PCs and game consoles. They're laced with techniques to hijack and take advantage of this fact of our brains, especially young people, right? Fortnite, for example, famous free game, it makes $1 million a day in just in-app purchases, because it gets people hooked. They want to, buy this clothing for their character or that thing, right? This is a long time ago. World of Warcraft, many years ago, the average player, it's an online game that you play with people. The average player used to play 25 hours a week. That's more than a part-time job, right? What are they doing? They're utilizing sophisticated technology in order to do one thing: increase time spent on site. What does this lead to, right? This is an example in Snapchat, if anyone's seen it. This is an example of a very simple dopamine hijacking technique to lure you into a compulsion loop. Every day you communicate with, send a message between you and a friend, you get a streak that you've messaged them this many days in a row. And this just gives you a little fire emoji in the corner, right? Some researchers found that just in order to keep that little fire emoji, which doesn't give you anything meaningful in real life, but because you've been lured into a dopamine, you've been hijacked, you've been lured into dopamine compulsion loop, you want to get that hit, right? You fear losing that thing. They found that children, in particular teenagers, were just taking pictures of, the floor, the wall, or giving their account details to someone else when they're going on holiday, just so they can keep messaging that person and increase those numbers next to that fire emoji. It means nothing in real life to you and me, but it's something that we get lured into as a form of addiction. What does that lead to? It leads to this new type of anxiety, right? FOMO, fear of missing out. A new type of anxiety that many of us, especially our younger brothers and sisters, are suffering from. It leads to addiction, right? More addictive than cigarettes and alcohol. This is social media. It destroys our willpower. Okay, it leads to a plethora of attention-related disorders. Right? It increases. Just one thing. Just remember one thing. If you're working, you're doing something meaningful. You're in a state of flow, for example. You're focusing on a good, productive task. You're doing something productive with your life. You get a notification on your phone. Yeah, it takes you in excess of 20 to 25 minutes to regain that same level of concentration. Not only that, it increases your distractibility fivefold for the next several hours. These are having effects on our attention span, right? And if younger brothers and sisters are growing up in the digital age as digital natives, since they're babies, they can operate iPads and stuff, right? I've got kids myself as well, varying ages. They're very literate on these devices. If we're not careful, we'll talk about some practical solutions later, inshallah. But if we're not careful, if we're not cognizant of the risks, we're going to be heading towards disaster later on with our younger brothers and sisters. Guardian did a poll in 2016, for example, secondary school pupils. FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. They said 1 in 5 students interrupted their own sleep to check their messages. 20%. Right, and these are teenagers, secondary school students, who are people in their life, in that point in their life where a good night's sleep is most important for, And deprivation of sleep leads to the biggest impact amongst all other age groups, right? I mean, sleep, good quality sleep is most important for teenagers in that level of their development, and they're interrupting their own sleep because of this. And girls are disproportionately more likely to take to social media when anxious or depressed or worried, right? This is quite important. Why? Because remember we said the attention engineers and the algorithms that they've made, not because they're evil people, because that's the industry, that's the economy they live in. They're rewarded for increasing that one metric, time spent on site. Because it's all electronic now, it's all mathematical, it's digital now. There's not a human being pulling the strings anymore. The algorithms are doing their work. Because the algorithms are intimately aware of information about our intimate habits, our personality, I suppose our personality, they have access to, vast amounts of data, what makes people tick and click, and they're trying to do one thing, increase time spent on site. They will show you information, they will show you posts, they will show you content that keeps you in that same state of mind that increases time spent on site. So if you're a younger lady, it will show you things if you're someone who are one of those people who are disproportionately more likely to take to social media when worried, it will show you things that keep you in that state of being worried, being anxious, being depressed, being unhappy about your own body image, for example. It will keep showing you those things because not because it's evil, but because that is the thing which increases time spent on site. If you're someone who goes to social media to have a fight, to argue with people, it's going to show you posts from people you disagree with, people that raise your blood pressure, right? Not because they're evil, because this is all automated now. So now you have on one side, I was pointing at this side of the screen. On this side of the screen, you can see the attention engineers, the social media companies, the algorithms, automated everything, geared to do one thing, increase time spent on site. And you have real human beings who care about you, your parents, your family members, right? Who are interested in your long-term success. If there's a conflict now, younger brothers and sisters, if you're looking, right? If there's a conflict, the social media algorithm, the Fortnite game, which has been laced, right, with hijacking, dopamine hijacking techniques, the absence of a pause button, right? People and children wetting themselves because they can't pause the game. They don't want to leave the game and lose something which is actually meaningless in real life, but they've been addicted to that. The games, the social media, everything is telling you one thing, and your parents are telling you another thing. Who are you going to listen to? One just is interested in increasing the time you spend on that thing because you're the product they're selling, advertising or in-app purchases against, and one is looking after your long-term interests. Who are you going to listen to? It's a no-brainer. So solutions, okay? Solution number one, obviously make dua for yourself, for your children, for your family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first and foremost, is the most effective means. Making dua is the most effective means for any end. That's a serious point of aqidah for us, yeah? Now, as for this specific issue, turn off the dopamine compulsion loops. Turn it right now, or as soon as you finish, turn off notifications, push notifications on your phones, on your laptops, on your devices, except for Islam 21C, right? Turn off all notifications, except for apps that have your interest in mind, made by Muslims who are, for example, wary of your long-term interests, not just looking for a click or a time spent on site or funded by advertising and stuff. If it's your Quran app, for example, it's reminding you a dhikr app or something like that, something Islamic, fair enough, it's got your long-term interest in mind, inshallah. But anything else, turn off notifications. Have a time in the day for yourself, right, where you say between this hour and that hour, okay, between this time and that time, that's when I'm going to check my phone and notifications. Do all your stuff then. You can end up spending 10 hours, but the point is you're in control. You chose to look at your phone at that time. It's not your phone that is demanding and taking away your agency, taking away your sovereignty. So turn off notifications, very important distraction, very important practical lesson. Number 3. So number 1 is make dua. Number 2, turn off notification. Number 3, have a digital sunset, right? Have a digital sunset. Try this, try your best. If your job entails, for example, work different hours, obviously those parts don't apply to you, but try and have a time. I've tried this myself. It's very difficult. I haven't been able to do it because of my job, right? But I try my best. Try to have a time. After this time, no electronic devices, okay? No electronic devices, no YouTube, no whatever, no TV, even if you don't want, or maybe if you want TV as a family, but no phones, no personal devices, right? No distractions beyond this certain time. Spend time as a family together, and likewise the sunrise. In the morning, basically don't let your phone or these devices be the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning. If you want to get out of these compulsion loops, this is one very, very strong and powerful tool that we have at our disposal. In the morning, before you check your phone, think to yourself, what do I want to do today? Instead of reacting to whatever the phone is telling you, okay? Look at this graph. This is very, very important. Try and get at least one time in the day where you're on the top right-hand side of this graph over here, right? What is this? Actually, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm in the corner for you, probably most of you. What is this? This is, these are states of flow, okay? Do something, try and do something for yourself and your children that is challenging, that requires some skill, okay? That requires your focus, whether it's painting or whatever, exercise or writing, okay? Don't do things that are, don't suffice yourself with things that are easy, things that require little skill, okay? Because if you can sustain concentration and focus in an activity which is productive, which is challenging, which requires skill, this will help you build the ability to have concentration in something, to hold concentration, rather than just doing the easy and quick thing that the whole social media, the whole attention economy is built around, right? This is what gets us into states of what neuroscientists call states of flow states, right? Where you're able to block out everything else and you're focusing on something. You're in the zone. An athlete might say, I'm in the zone or something like this. Try your best to do something like that at least once a day and with your children. No distractions, okay? Whatever it is, if it's playing a sport, if it's something, a hobby, painting something, whatever, woodwork, anything like that, making jewelry, cooking, something that gets you into a state of flow, right? Without any distractions. Because being in a state of flow is correlated with just general overall happiness, okay? And this ability of a state of flow is what is chipped away at by the attention engineers and the attention economy. Lead by example. If you're a parent, the reason why the kids want one of these when they're 3 years old is because they see mama and baba always on their devices, right? Now it's easier said than done, but imagine if they saw you all the time with a mushaf. SubhanAllah. They saw you with a mushaf and they said, I want my own personal mushaf as well, rather than reading from the mushaf on the phone, right? So lead by example. Try not to, if your kids are there, try not to be distracted with your phone. This is a very, very difficult, but very, very important lesson for me personally. Lead by example. No free games. Okay, this is what makes me very unpopular, not with kids, but with their parents as well, because I tell the parents, buy your kids good quality, expensive games. Why? Because the free games are laced with dopamine hijacking techniques, with persuasion architecture, with all this type of stuff that is engineered to make you addicted, right? We'd much rather give them the free stuff, but we don't know that they're expertly crafted to make those games and those apps addictive as heck, right? There's even a company called Dopamine Labs, literally, for example, right? They claim that they operate ethically and they choose their clients widely, Allahu A'lam, but, the free stuff, you're the product, okay? So no free games. Buy your kids expensive, well-made games, if, nothing wrong with playing within, as long as you're not being excessive. But give them the high quality stuff. Don't give them free games. Okay, that's much more addictive, and they are the product then selling advertising against and increasing time spent on site. And finally, again, we say make dua. So that's the end of this short presentation. We spoke about the attention economy. Okay, we spoke about algorithms. We spoke about attention engineers. We spoke about the consequences on the world, how it's changing, how our understanding of news and the reality of the world around us is shaped now by these algorithms. We spoke about FOMO, fear of missing out, addiction to these devices, these apps, these social networking sites, these games. We spoke about children, younger brothers and sisters being disproportionately affected and targeted by these aspects of their brain, being targeted by their these algorithms and these attention engineers as well. Not because they're evil necessarily, but because that's the that's the economy they're operating in. That's what their promotions are about. That's what their bonuses are about. That's what their job is, to do whatever they can to increase time spent on that thing, right? But we are supposed to have our children and our community's best interests at heart, not leave it up to these people who are trying to do one thing and one thing only. We spoke about how to get out of that loop. Okay, we said make dua. We said turn off notifications on these devices. Make sure you're in charge of when you use these things, not the other way around. We said try and have a digital sunset. So a point in the day beyond which nobody in the house is having electronic devices, using them. You're together as a family. You're interacting in real life, right? Communicating, eye contact, all that kind of stuff. Physical contact. What was the other thing? We said, try and get yourself in a state of flow by doing challenging and skillful things like hobbies. Lead by example if you're parents. No to free games, okay? And again, finish by asking Allah's tawfiq, and we make dua for our community and everyone else, the younger people in particular. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this calamity that could be coming our way, and make us use social media and the digital age and this attention economy for the best of this life and the next, right? Maybe in the future we can have another follow-up talking about how to use these things effectively and safely, rather than, but if you do feel that completely, block it out of your life and it will make better for you and your life, then by all means go for that. Okay. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. If there's any comments, if there's any reflections, please, or questions, please do share.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Subhanallah. Just we had a few questions, if you don't mind, if you've got time, inshallah. So somebody might say, you're living right now, we're living in the digital age, and before the digital age, we were living, in whatever, as you mentioned in the beginning of your presentation. When somebody might ask you, okay, now I'm in this, social media, I'm in this loop of, they're trying to catch my attention. Somebody might say, okay, in the old days, obviously, even now, you've got shaitan trying to catch your attention the whole time. You've got distractions, of you're hearing people, speaking about certain things. You're interacting with, people on a daily basis, and their opinions impact your mind in a similar fashion. So what would you say to that criticism that say that, okay, these things are going to happen anyway, might as well enjoy myself while it happens?
Well, you got a point there, but I mean, you're not going to enjoy yourself when you're suffering from FOMO. The point is, this makes you worse off. Imagine you're, so FOMO, fear of missing out. Imagine you're just having a nice time, with your family, or having fun, right? and then you get a notification and you find someone else is doing something on the other side of the world, and now it's making you feel like you're missing out on something. You were fine before that. You were happy before that, that notification came. But now you're distracted. Maybe you sort of message someone that, you're annoyed about. Someone responded to a comment that you wrote. Somebody, or even you don't know that unknown that you heard a notification and you're just thinking, imagine what it could be. You're getting that fear of missing out now. So you're actually worse off than you were before you were actually happier. And it's one of my close brothers. He's a convert to Islam, alhamdulillah. And he said a very powerful thing, and it really highlights the fact that dopamine, this chemical that is being exploited, it has a reason a wisdom Allah created in the first place. He said to me one time, he said, I realized that I would get the same hit, the same type of enjoyment as I would from smoking cannabis, illegal drugs, haram drugs. I realized I got that same level of enjoyment just taking my little sister to the park. Yeah. So you can still get that happiness, you can still get that buzz in a productive way where you're doing something good. You don't have to do it in a way where it's harmful for you. It's leading to all of these problems. Yeah. Allahu A'lam.
Alhamdulillah. Another question would be something like along the lines of, okay, the future of, our future right now, obviously we can't change it. Things are going to happen, technology is going to develop. In the past, you mentioned there was the radios, and then, it went to TV, and then it became, the phone. And now in the future, we might get some new technology where, maybe it's something implants in our eyes or something, something to be, always around us.
Apple eyes, yeah.
So now
iPhone, EYE.
Yeah, so basically now we're going to be living in a virtual world, at some point soon. So what's your advice for parents raising their children now? As you mentioned, you've you've made some good suggestions in terms of limiting their technology and, having a digital sunset. So what's, for parents, for example, they're out and about always, and they're always busy trying to prepare food for their family, for their young kids or something, or they need to distract their kids for a short time. So they usually, give them a phone or, turn on YouTube or something, and they give them some time just to give them some time to do what they need to do. So now, do you have any helpful tips or, anything?
Yeah, don't do that. Never, ever, ever just leave your kids on YouTube, right? That's one thing. Because YouTube, like we mentioned, it's not governed by, what's in their best interests. It's governed by what will keep someone, based on vast numbers of people and data about them, is governed by what will keep them glued and watching. And many people have researched this. You're only X number of also watch videos away from some Mickey Mouse video all the way to something really dangerously explicit for young kids, right? So never leave them unsupervised on YouTube. There's been plenty of, mashallah, I'm not saying don't watch anything, don't watch TV or whatever, be on the internet, but know the risks, right? There's plenty of creative Muslim brothers and sisters and companies now that are making kids, sites specifically for kids, different sheikhs, involved. You can see, we have learning routes, for example, in terms of, products now, high quality products. We have Ali and Sumaya, like a kids TV series and that kind of stuff. Those types of things we can and we should support as a community to increase the quality of that kind of stuff, right? And whatever comes our way, just know the risks, right? One reason I'm very unpopular with some people is I say under 25, no smartphones, no social media if you're under 25, right? Practically speaking, that's not going to happen. But if people have that in their heads, that is when, on average, those parts of your brain develops to help you calculate risks better, then people are going to be, inshallah, a bit more aware and, or, you know, cautious, right? So just know the risks, try and mitigate them however you can. Just don't think that this is like the toy that I had back in the day. This is nothing like that. It's not even like the games console you used to have, because those are things that you're buying, you're the consumer. These are things where you're the product. Okay, your children's attention is the product. And I've spoken to young people in some youth programs. It's hard for them to even maintain eye contact. It's hard for them to speak, have a conversation sometimes. Why? Because their brains have been so overexposed and used to, and their attention has been purposefully fractured so that they can be good commodities and products in this new economy. All right, we don't want that for our kids, for our community. We don't want it for anyone's kids. We're not saying that the companies are evil, they're doing that. It's just an unintended, we can say, consequence of all the stuff I mentioned, right? Attention engineers, understanding psychology, and automated using algorithms, machine learning algorithms, right? So just know the risks. Know the risks, be very careful with them. Every parents know the dynamics that they have with their kids. I could tell one of my kids, don't do that, and he won't do it. Another kid, I might have to give him something else, right? And, you know, try and barter and negotiate with him. But just know that this is something you need to be very, very, very careful of. We just touched the surface. There's so many other ills, right? And we can, you know, Islam Trinity is a good article written by Ustad Sohail Abu Hanifa called Social Media and the Cyber Youth Crisis. It touches upon a few different problems, with, especially with regards to young people. So do whatever you can. Buy your kids, you know, loads of good actual toys. If it, you know, if it means you can convince them not to, or you can delay that point where they're thrown into the deep end with all these internet connected devices.
Jazakallah khair. Okay. What about, you know, for future viewers, somebody who's watching this recording and they're stuck in this loop of, you know, I'm just watching the next video and the next video and the next video, and now we're here. You know, you've said make dua, you know, in terms of trying to get your, you know, this is the first step in getting yourself out of it. What's, you know, am I, you know, are we expected to just turn the TV off or turn the, you know, whatever device we're using off completely? Are we?
It's a good question. It's a good question. That's why I put that slide in there about flow states, right? There's a reason, there's a wisdom why Allah gave us these reward circuits in our brains, right? And one of them is, one of the wisdoms is, we don't know the exact reason, we can't say with any assert anything about Allah's intention, but one of the wisdoms of us having this is it pushes us, it gives us these buzzes, these rewards when we're doing something that's productive, when we're trying to hit our targets, we have goals for ourselves. So have a meaningful hobby, right? Whether it doesn't have to be something overtly ibadah related. In fact, inshallah, if you are addicted to your device and it's harming your ibadah, and you replace it with something which is not harming your ibadah, inshallah, you'll still be rewarded for that, right? Such as art, drawing pictures, you know, making things out of wood, making little whatever toy furniture, right? Make something that, get a hobby that pulls you away from this type of addiction, and that gives you that dopamine hit, that when you reach a milestone, you get that buzz, you get that hit. You know, you want to draw more pictures, you want to color more things, you want to improve your, do a course. So everyone's at home now, you can do so many courses. There's so many websites out there. You can learn a skill, you can learn graphic design, you can learn, you know, how to edit videos, you can learn photography, you can learn so many skills that then become a hobby, and that you can get into a state of flow. You can focusing on something that is challenging and something that requires skill, right? Rather than just being a consumer, rather just being passive, you know, just a sponge that is just absorbing stuff from content and just forever kind of scrolling. Break that loop. Okay, that's the most I think poignant advice I could give. Allahu a'lam.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. Okay, well, so, you know, somebody viewing this might be a developer, and they might be somebody who has some sort of capability to build something, which benefits the Muslims. Give us some, brief examples of things, for example, like, some organizations or projects that are, combating this, trying to break people out of the cycle, or trying to, replace these negative contents with good content. Maybe something like, you can give some advice for the people developing, these things. They can, try and make things better for.
Think about it. I mean, anyone watching, give some ideas. This is especially, one of the things that you could learn while you're in, to try and get yourself out of these compulsion loops and spending so much time on these devices. You could learn coding yourself. You could learn. You can ironically watch YouTube videos teaching you how to write your own software programs and stuff. Okay, there could be so many people who are just young people who are just scrolling all the time, looking at what other people are doing, but they have the opportunity, they have the ability inside there, the capability of becoming talented app developers themselves, right? Now think of ideas that you can use to get people out of this. If I had an idea, I would try and get someone to make it, right? But I've seen a few things, right? So there was this app that was going around a while ago that every time you picked up your phone, it gave you a dua or some dhikr as a reminder, or an ayah of the Quran or something like that, right? Maybe that's a way to mitigate, or at least get you some reward out of whenever you pick up your phone, right? But yeah, I think there's no recourse but the old-fashioned kind of do something productive with your life instead, right? Instead of just being on these devices all the time. And I'm the biggest hypocrite because I'm always on my phone. I say to myself because I'm working, but that's the thing, when you're working on a website, on electronic things, digital things, then you're always open to these distractions all the time, right? So get involved with good things, like things that perhaps sharpen your mind, like Muslimic Countdown on tonight at 10 p.m. Facebook.com/Dr Salman Butt. But so those are games in there. They sharpen your mind. It's good to have a bit of a laugh. And that's what I do.
Barakallah feek. Brothers and sisters, if you have questions, obviously you can always leave a comment. And unfortunately, Jazakallah khair for your time. Dr. Salman, Jazakallah khair for that very informative guide on how to survive online. Inshallah, dear viewers at home, and those who are maybe watching in the future, Allah alam, but I hope you all benefited from this. And inshallah, we can break any cycle that we are in, and hopefully benefit ourselves and our families in the future, inshallah, with a healthy lifestyle. And inshallah, just some few points, inshallah, for our next. This is going to be a regular halaqa, inshallah, every Saturday at 7:30. So join us next time. Next week, inshallah, we will have Sheikh Farid Haibatan. He'll be coming on and delivering a topic which is to be confirmed, inshallah. I'd also like to remind you, for those who are watching live, tomorrow evening, inshallah, we'll have our quiz night, alhamdulillah, and this is a way to enjoy yourself, inshallah, in a proper way, inshallah. So jazakumullah khair, and hopefully we'll see you next week or tomorrow. I've been my name is Dawood, aka the other one. There's another Dawood around here, so inshallah we will hopefully see you next Saturday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.